Hi, lovely to have you here. Welcome to the Electro Revolution channel. My name is Michael. I'm a car and tech enthusiast. Welcome to episode 3 of the series where I compare EV vehicles with ICE vehicles. Today I'm going to talk about driving range for both EVs and ICE. Then I'll cover the safety of the vehicles, and that also must include fire risks. Then I'll finish the episode on maintenance costs. Driving range. Range can vary a lot depending on how you drive, so it's a bit subjective. For example, in an ICE car, city driving with lots of stops uses more fuel, while highway driving at a steady speed uses much less. EVs are very similar, but their range is also affected by temperature. Instead of speaking generally, let me share my own experiences. My ICE car. It claims about 600 kilometers on a full tank of 60 litres. In reality, I usually get around 530 to 550 kilometers in city and suburban driving. My first EV, it claims 480 kilometers of range, but I get about 410 kilometers in real-world driving. My second EV claims about 570 kilometers of range, and I get about 510 kilometers in real-world driving. I recently drove my second EV on a long weekend trip from my home to Port Macquarie, a 416 kilometre trip, which is about 260 miles. I left home with a 98% charge and arrived with 17% charge. The car showed about 90 kilometres of range left when I got there. On the return trip, I left Port Macquarie with a 100% charge and arrived home with 23% left. That's about 125 kilometres or about 78 miles of range left. This trip didn't require any charging stops, and the resort that we went to even had free charging for guests. So I made the whole trip in the EV with $0 in fuel costs. When I did the same trip earlier in my ICE car, it had about $300 in fuel alone. So my experiences. The claimed ranges of both ICE and EVs aren't always accurate, as they depend on how you drive. However, they are usually close to real-world ranges. Let's briefly discuss range anxiety, because that's something that people talk about. Range anxiety is the fear of running out of battery or fuel on a long road trip. For short trips, there's no difference. Both EVs and ICE cars can easily handle it without any anxiety. For long trips, ICE cars have a big advantage. You can refuel almost anywhere. Fuel stations are everywhere, especially along highways, and the infrastructure has been in place for decades. So, range anxiety is rarely an issue with ICE cars. With EVs, the charging network is still growing. While there are many charging stations, they're not everywhere, and charging speeds vary. Some are ultra fast, others are much slower. That's why planning ahead is key for EV road trips. You can't just jump in and drive. You need to know where you'll stop to recharge if you need to. Luckily, there are plenty of mobile apps and built-in navigation tools in EVs that help with this. But again, unlike ICE cars, you do need to plan your charging stops. My experiences. I always plan my road trips in advance, and I actually enjoy knowing where I'll stop and what I'll do at each stop. The first time I took an EV on a road trip, I was nervous. I wasn't sure which apps I need, if I needed to bring cables, or how long the charging would take. But it turned out to be very simple. We needed to stop anyway for food, rest and bathroom breaks. And by the time we were ready to go, the car was charged and ready too. Safety. Even though I've placed this topic further down the list, safety is actually my number one priority when choosing a car. Why? Because in a serious accident, whether it's your fault or not, the car you're in can be the difference between life, death or serious injury, especially if your family or friends are with you. Cars can be replaced, lives can't. And living with a serious injury is something no one wants to face. So let's look at crash safety. EVs are generally just as safe or safer than ICE cars in crash tests. The heavy battery pack is placed low in the car, which lowers the centre of gravity, making EVs more stable and less likely to roll over. Fire risk. Fires in EVs can happen, but are rare and usually triggered by major crashes or battery faults. ICE cars actually catch fire more often, mainly from fuel leaks or engine overheating. When EV fires do happen, they can be harder to put out, but they are statistically less common. I'm talking about statistics here. Safety features. EVs are usually newer models, so they come packed with modern safety tech, like auto emergency braking, lane assist, and advanced crash protection. Many EVs are built from the ground up with these features, while ICE vehicles may only add them in newer versions. Structural design. With no large engine block, EVs have more flexibility in the front end of the design for better crumple zones, and that can absorb crash impacts more efficiently. When you look at the top 10 safest cars in the world, they are all EVs, thanks to their strong crash protection, smart safety features, and advanced tech that helps them avoid accidents. So my experiences. Both of my EVs have self-driving features, lane assist, automatic cruise control, lots of airbags, road sign detection, and much more. And it's all built in, and that includes a structural battery pack on the car's floor, and that adds protection, especially on side hits. Even though any car can be hit, I've never felt less safe in an EV compared to my ICE car. In fact, because my ICE car is older and has less safety tech than my current EVs, I personally believe the extra features in the EVs make travel safer for me, my family, and any friends that travel with us. Long-term maintenance costs. Maintenance requirements for EVs and ICE vehicles differ greatly due to their respective drivetrains and operational mechanics. Generally speaking, EVs require less maintenance, and that results in lower long-term ownership costs. For EV maintenance, firstly, there's no oil changes. EVs don't need engine oil, so no oil changes are required. With fewer moving parts, EV drivetrains are simpler. There's fewer parts to wear out, for example. They have no pistons and no spark plugs. Longer brake life. Regenerative braking means braking parts last longer and don't need replacing as often. Battery maintenance. EV batteries degrade slowly over time, but modern systems help maintain battery health, and most EVs have long-term warranties. For ICE maintenance, we're looking at oil changes. ICE cars need regular oil changes to keep the engine running smoothly. There's also more wear. The engine transmission, the fuel system in ICE vehicles require more maintenance due to many moving parts. The exhaust system, parts like the catalytic converter, and exhaust pipes need periodic checks and replacements. Filters. The fuel, air and filters must be replaced regularly to keep the engine efficient. My experiences. EVs require less maintenance and have lower ownership costs, and that's due to the fewer moving parts, no oil changes, and longer lasting brakes. Every 2 years I replace the tyres on my vehicles. I would expect this to be the same for my EVs, although the high torque and instant acceleration in the EVs could wear out the tyres faster if driven aggressively. I don't drive recklessly, so my tyres should last as expected. Both of my EVs have 8-year warranties on the cars and 7 years on the batteries. I'll repeat that. Both my EVs have 8-year warranties on the cars and 7 years on the batteries. My ICE vehicle, when I first bought it in 2017, had a 3-year warranty on it. All my cars require servicing to retain their warranties, which is unfortunate. I service my ICE vehicle every year as scheduled, and the service cost is usually double compared to my EVs due to more maintenance work needed. After 8 years though, honestly, I've had no issues with the ICE vehicle at all. There's been nothing major that's gone wrong with it. Both of my EVs are still under warranty, and so far I haven't had any major problems. Yet, I did have one minor issue with the first EV I bought in 2023, and that was there was a clunking noise in the steering column. That's after 18 months of driving it. I took it to the service centre. The new part arrived the following day, where I picked up the fixed car without any major inconvenience. Now, I did hear people say that because EV vehicles, or they're overseas vehicles, or they're not made in Australia, that parts are hard to get. I just haven't experienced that at all. Well, I really hope you enjoyed episode 3. If you did, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, or just leave us a comment. Until episode 4, I'll see you then. Bye for now.